If I were to be a Democratic politician who cared about my office actually having power, there is all of the reason to wrap yourself in the labor movement.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
The headline is that ZF manufacturing workers in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, who make Mercedes parts. They are a Mercedes parts supplier. They have been on strike now for a month, and they got a tentative agreement last week. And a few days after they got the tentative agreement, they voted 98% in favor of the tentative agreement. They go back to work on Monday. And so I would say 98% in favor. The workers are obviously happy with it. I call that a win. Very happy for them. The strike issues included eliminating tiers where workers who started after a certain date have a less lucrative benefits package. They wanted general raises. Currently, the starting rate at the plant is only $15.50 an hour, even for first-tier workers. And they wanted better healthcare costs. So they were able to win tier elimination by the end of the contract, October 2027, so it's a 4-year contract. $23 an hour for all production and logistics by the end of the CBA, and that is going to equal a $4.20 an hour raise for Tier 2 workers. So that's good for them. Really happy for that, and they got an additional holiday. So there's obviously a few other things, but those are kind of the highlights. Happy for them, and glad they're going to be able to go back to work on Monday. I mentioned that I spoke to some politicians about that, and so what I did about a week and a half ago is I emailed every state representative and state senator in and around Tuscaloosa. So I think I sent off maybe a dozen emails. Maybe like 7 or 8. Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 state representatives and 3 state senators. Most of them did not respond. That's kind of the way that these things go. But, so I said in the email, I went over the strike issues. They want to eliminate tiers. They want to have a higher starting rate, and they want to, working on some healthcare costs. I mentioned that the issue was separate from the larger strike and contract negotiations between the UAW and the big 3 automakers. So I had 3 questions. I had 3 questions for the politicians. I said, regarding this issue, could you please answer the following? 1, do you support the workers in their strike for a better contract? 2, have you been to or will you go to the picket line? And 3, is there any legislation or policy you have pursued or will pursue in the legislature to support or oppose striking workers generally? Why or why not? And I also said to feel free to include any other thoughts you might have on this issue specifically or workers' issues generally. So the Democratic representative, so this is the guy that represents the plant, okay? He's a Democrat, represents the plant, A.J. McCampbell, Artis J. McCampbell. Are you familiar with him, Adam?
I'm not,
at all?
no.
Artis J. McCampbell, A.J. McCampbell, Democratic representative, represents the district that the strike is on. Could not get him at all. Sent him an email, and the email on the state legislative site is wrong. It sends back, oh, this email doesn't exist.
Lovely.
Yeah, so that's super, super competent governance, and this is a guy who clearly cares about, hearing from his constituents, right? Clearly. Called his phone, and there is no option to leave a voicemail. So again, super great. I found his personal Facebook and sent him a Facebook message. No response. So yeah. I don't know, like...
It shouldn't be that hard to contact an elected official, a state representative, who should be responding to constituents. That's disappointing.
Yeah, super, super disappointing. The state senator whose district the strike took place in was a Republican, Gerald Allen. And a similar thing, but at least his email didn't come back that it doesn't exist. Okay, so this guy's email presumably exists. Okay, so that's a plus. And also, I was able to leave him a voicemail. So ahead of the Democrat here on those issues, but still no response. No response from Republican State Senator Gerald Allen. House District 16 is in the middle of a special election, so I sent a email, a phone call, and a Facebook message to the 2 Republicans who are in the runoff for the Republican nomination. No response from them. Senator Bobby Singleton, Democrat, near the district, his district is near the strike. Emailed, called him, left a voicemail, no response. Republican Senator Greg Reed, emailed, called him on the phone, no response. Democratic Representative Chris England, and I was surprised by this because I actually have his personal phone number, and I called his personal phone number, and he did not reply, which is bonkers because he's been in, I don't know what his deal is. He was in support of, he was vocally supportive of the mine workers near his district. He spoke at some of their events, so I don't know why he didn't respond, but he did not. Send him an email, phone call, no response.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Republican Representative Bill Lamb did respond. He said, quote, "I always support management and labor being able to negotiate the best deal for them. But I've never walked a picket line and I don't want to."
At least a little bit honest. I appreciate being to the point there.
Democratic Representative Curtis Travis says that he is in support of the workers for a better contract. He has never been to a picket line, and he has no plans to go, nor does he have any intention to sponsor any legislation in support of or in opposition to striking workers generally. A Democrat says this. A Democrat, "I've never been to a picket line. I have no plans to. I have no intention of sponsoring any legislation to benefit striking workers." A Democrat. Republican Representative Ron Bolton, he responded, and he probably, honestly, he may have had the best response. So here's what he said in his email to me. "I do support the workers' right to pursue better wages, benefits, and working conditions. I have not been to the picket line and do not plan to go, as I believe that the best way for the workers to achieve their goals is active engagement with the company in the negotiation process, and they know better than I do how to accomplish that. I have not sponsored any legislation and have no immediate plans to. Unions helped build the American economy, and I support workers' rights to better their pay and work environment." So there you go. That line about unions helped build the American economy was kind of surprising to me, coming from a Republican.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alabama Republicans in the legislature are not known to be labor-friendly, to put it mildly. So,
right.
That is a pleasant surprise. Hopefully that means, there's room to work with a gentleman like that on certain issues, perhaps. That's good to know. I hear you on the disappointment in terms of other responses, because we are seeing in other states where legislators are sponsoring legislation to support striking workers, such as including them in public benefits, unemployment benefits, or food stamps. Things like that could make a big difference when you are fighting these epic struggles against very powerful, wealthy corporations. And we see where sometimes the corporations will try to starve out the workers and wait them out. So it would be nice to see legislators taking that problem seriously. There's also other issues to address, of course, in terms of protections of constitutional rights of speech and assembly at the picket line and elsewhere. There's a lot that could be done and should be done. And I would like to see a little bit more engagement from legislators, because we hear a lot about them from all corners of both parties about being pro-business, being champions of business, being business-friendly, championing workforce development. And, the thing is, most of us are not business. We are not business owners. Most of us are workers. We work for the businesses. So where are our champions?
Yep, exactly. Very unfortunate. It's another. it's another thing, they should support workers, striking workers generally, because it's the right thing to do, I think. But also, especially in this environment, I have never understood why. Well, I mean, I think the understanding is that they don't care. These are Democrats who are in gerrymandered districts with like 80-90% Democratic population, and so they have like basically zero incentive. They're comfortable in their seat. They don't feel like anybody's going to challenge them, anything like this, and so that they don't feel a need to do anything. But from a perspective of like, if I were to be a Democratic politician who cared about not only my office, but about my office actually having power, if I were to be a person like that, there is no reason at all, and all of the reason to wrap yourself in the labor movement right now. That may not have been the case politically, maybe 2 decades ago. But that's not the environment that we're in right now. There would be every political benefit, in addition to doing the right thing, every political benefit in wrapping yourself in the labor movement, in the language of class struggle, and supporting the working class against the owning class. And they're just not doing it. They're not doing it. And I think the reason in Alabama is what I said. These people don't care about increasing the power of their seats. They have their seats. They feel comfortable in their seats. They don't think they're going to be challenged. And so they are, so they're complacent. But if they were ever interested in increasing the power that their seat has, then that is what they would be doing.
Well, to your point, I mean, let's just remind folks that opinion polls are pretty clear that,
Right.
3/4 of the American public supports labor right now?
90% of workers under 30.
Right.
Of American people under 30.
Right. 90% of Americans who are young support labor. What is the approval rating of the Democratic Party?
Right.
It's not 75%. It's certainly not 90% among young people. So yeah, that I think just really reiterates your point there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I don't understand it. I really do not understand it. But, whatever. I'm not a politician, so.
Right.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.